Welcome back to the channel. I'm DB Chopper and I am freshly returned from 5 to 6 weeks holiday, 10 days of which I spent supporting the New Zealand Black Dragons campaign at the World Dragon Boat Champs in Germany at Brandenburg. And I'm making this video really to share some of my insights about that experience, because although I wasn't a paddler this time round, I was providing support to management and to the wider team. I did get to catch up with a lot of people like paddlers from other teams, from other countries, coaches from other teams and countries, managers from other teams and countries, and also got to connect up with some really awesome IDBF officials in the marshalling area, where I spent a lot of my time, and it ended up being one of the main on the ground kind of things that I was doing to support the team, was to get them from the New Zealand tent up to the marshalling area, into the correct lane, so that they could go through their compliance checks, get in the boat, out on the water and out to the start line. So that's where I spent a lot of my time. I did have a chance to see some of the races, and I was pretty active getting around and about the place, talking to different people. So I just thought I'd share some of my insights with you about that experience. A great experience, by the way. I want to give a big shout out to one of the Australian national paddlers who came up to me in the marshalling area and said to me, "Are you DB Chopper?" And of course I said, "Yes, I am." He then went on to tell me that his team, his club team back home in Aussie, used some of my stuff. And I was absolutely blown away. It's a huge compliment to have somebody come up and tell you that the videos that you're posting about dragon boat technique and so forth are actually being watched. And not only are they being watched, people are out there actually taking on board some of this stuff. So if that person was you, I'm sorry I couldn't spend more time talking to you, but if you want to leave a comment down below, let's get in touch with each other, because I'd really like to talk more about what stuff in particular you've taken and you're using, and perhaps some of the other stuff that you haven't found, may not have found quite so useful. That's okay, we can talk about that as well. Leave us a comment down below, and I'd love to get in touch with you, whoever you were. And I'm sorry I've forgotten your name, but I just wanted to let you know I was completely blown away that you came up to me and you told me that. That is some awesome feedback. Right, let's move on. So, as I mentioned before, I was working mainly in the marshalling area. My responsibilities really were to make sure that as the teams were getting called up by the head marshal, that they were ready and able to get there on time and get lined up. Now, the reason I was up in the marshalling area for a big part of that time was the sound system that the marshals were using wasn't quite reaching the tent where the New Zealanders were camped, and so you couldn't really hear the calls that well. So that's why I was up there, and I was kind of jogging back and forwards, just making sure that teams knew when they were being called up and which lane they were supposed to be in. Now, in doing that, I got to work with some of the officials, and I want to give you guys a big shout out, because you did such a fantastic job. At times you were under extreme pressure by everything that was going on. So the first person I want to thank is Jessica. This is Jessica in the photo. Jessica was calling the shots on the mic. She was the one calling all the teams up, and I was pretty much Jessica's shadow as she was calling these teams up, and I would run down and grab the Kiwis and bring them up. The other person that I got to work with was a big tall German guy by the name of Jörg. You and Stefan were absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for all the support that you gave me and the New Zealand team, especially on the training days, which were particularly hectic. And of course, Stefan, thank you, bro, for all your support. And I've got you both on Facebook now. We're going to stay connected. I know we will, because we've got this common thing, this dragon boat thing going on, and it's great to stay in touch with people from the other side of the world who have the same passion as I do about dragon boating. Right, so let's move on. So one of the first insights I really want to share with you was that there were quite a few different technique styles going on at the Worlds. Of course, you had your pretty conventional rotational type paddling going on. You also had hinge-based paddling, very apparent as well. And then you had what I would describe as a hybrid or a cross between rotational and hinge-based paddling that was there as well. So I guess you could say I gate crashed quite a few team huddle-ups where either the team captains or coaches were geeing up their teams ahead of going out and doing the business on the water, or they were debriefing them after a race. And it was interesting to hear some of the conversations that coaches and team captains had to say about races and about approaches. And one in particular that I guess really connected with me was it was a team huddle with one of the USA teams, in which I'm assuming it was the coach, was just reinforcing some things for that particular team about what to do out on the water. And their approach obviously was a long and strong stroke through the water, and you can probably pick this up in the video. The other thing that really connected with my technique that I like to use, and I cover in the videos, is leg drive. You will hear, I think it's either the coach or one of the team members reminding the others to leg drive. So these guys are obviously pushing off their feet. They're bringing their legs into play as part of their technique. And of course, that's really important to use that leverage to generate that power. See if you can pick it up in the video.
On the stroke after you're lengthened. So now lengthen that stroke a little. Remember when that lengthen, hit the back end, get that full reach. Tight drive. We made our money in the 2K and 1K. Okay, got it. You saw what just happened there. Right? They did the 2-year open. Was on the inside lane. Canada, they did what they did in the 1K. They did off the line with them. Made the seat and just steadily walked through the body. They took it. That's the outside. Right, that's the fucking business. The same thing Senior A was doing. Long, strong in the water. That's what Senior B is doing. Long, strong. Let's get it in there. USA. 1, 2, 3. USA!
Now, aside from that, there were, of course, the styles that used a shorter stroke, but at a slightly higher rate. So that was their preference as well. And then you had everything in between, of course. But for the most part, it was really interesting just wandering around and talking to paddlers, coaches and managers about technique training and also the drills that they use back home in their own countries. So there's lots of similarities there. There's also a few differences, quite stark differences in their approaches, and I guess that's what makes dragon boating all the more interesting and rich. What it comes down to, I think, is whatever style or technique that you're actually doing, so long as you've got that mix, that magic mix of paddlers in the boat who can go out there and execute that technique consistently right across the boat, then you're probably going to find that that's a reasonably fast boat. Now, one of the other things that I did notice was that a number of the Asian teams that I would have expected to be there didn't actually turn out this time. So I must have seen a very early registration table of teams that featured, for example, I think it was Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia. They weren't there this time, so I found that really interesting, especially with Thailand, who I thought would have turned out to defend their world title status from the last World Championships, but it wasn't to be. And so not wanting to take anything away from the performance of the other teams, but it would have been good to see those teams in the competition to make it all that much more tougher and robust. But I guess, you know, every country, every team has to manage their own circumstances and consider the distance travelled and the cost and so forth. But hopefully at the next World Champs in Hong Kong, these teams will turn out, because I think we all agree they're very tough to get up over, and if you can do that, you can leave those competitions confident that you're actually, you know, right up there amongst the very best in the world. So hopefully next time we'll see those Asian teams turn out. One of the other observations I did make was the size of some countries' squads. Now, which varied actually from, I think, around 30, and I'm talking about the number of people in the squad for that country, and that country was Cyprus. Great bunch of people. The Cyprus squad had a great time with them, and I even managed to come away with one of their racing singlets. So they had perhaps the smallest squad at the World Champs, with a squad of around 30. It may have even been one shy of 30, but certainly one of the smaller squads. And I think one of the largest squads was USA, and probably Canada, who were up in the hundreds. Also Australia was 300 plus for their squad. And of course, when you can field big squads like these, you can actually put teams into most, if not every race in the event. So your chances of ending up on the podium are greatly increased if you can actually field teams in every age division for every race. So that was an observation I made, that the size of the squads did vary quite a bit. The New Zealand squad, I think, was up around 90, certainly less than 100. So we were not the biggest, not the smallest squad there. Now, if you were actually following the World Champs, you may have noticed that across that week of racing, we actually got 4 seasons, possibly in 1 or 2 days. It was supposed to be summer over there, but when we first got there, it was quite rainy, overcast. There were actually quite a few heavy downpours, including thunder and lightning storms, and they did stop racing at one point, as that lightning was pretty close. And as you can see from the videos here, some of the teams made their own fun during this downtime, and it would all added to the colour and festivity of the festival. It was really good to see these teams busting out and showing their colours and their culture, and just having a great time while the racing was on hold. So one of the other things that I did note was the different type of dragon boat equipment that was in use. Talking more specifically about paddles, you will all know that nowadays anyway, there's such a variety of dragon boat paddles out there that we are really now spoilt for choice. And what makes it difficult is deciding on which type of paddle, which brand and so forth to go for. But I really did see the whole range on display there, either by the people who were selling them, some paddle vendors, or actual paddlers using them. So I did happen to notice though that one of my personal favorites, the Failer brand, was in widespread use at the Worlds. There's one up behind me here in this video, and for those of you out there that prefer this brand, I can understand why. They're very light. The blade profile is super thin, and the leading edge on the blade is it's quite thin and sharp, and it cuts through the water like a hot knife through butter. So the Failer brand were definitely in widespread use at the Worlds, as were other more well-known brands as well. Now, one of the traditions of being at a World Champs, of course, is the trading, all the horse trading that goes on between teams around uniforms and pins and so forth, and any other kind of merchandise from countries that paddlers and so forth like to swap. So I came out of it pretty well. I got this nice polo from one of the big strapping German lads, and I also got a singlet, a racing singlet from the Cyprus guys, and I brought some of the official IDBF merchandise as well, which is some pretty cool stuff. I also upped my collection of pins, which is a very popular pastime at these events as well, and I came away with some nice pins. So overall, looking back, it was a good experience. It was interesting being on the other side of things as part of the campaign. In other words, as not being a paddler and taking on other role other than paddling. I got my paddling in Thailand after the event, and I managed to catch up with some of my Thai friends over there while I was there as well. So that was pretty cool experience as well. So I'm going to be making another video very shortly, and in this video I'm going to be talking about timing versus rhythm. Timing versus rhythm. Two different things in my view, and I'd like to cover those off with you and get down in the weeds on those two things. So until then,